back for another one of the Santa Anita Pick'em previews. Now we're going to talk about the January 21st Saturday contest props over at pick'em.santanita.com. Totally free to sign up every Saturday and every Sunday that there's racing at Santa Anita. They will have a free contest just like this that will combine sports and horse racing props, and the winner gets $500. You can also win if you make selections each and every game and you have the most selections come April 9th, you can win $2,000. Someone who knows about winning these contests is my good friend Eric from eTop21 Sports. Eric, buddy, you won one of these in the last meet. You took home the $1,000 prize then, so we always like to pick your brain a little bit, and these particular contest this weekend will be really fun for the NFL fans because they're going to have a lot of the questions about the NFL divisional round games as well as the Santa Anita races.
Great contest. I think there's some opportunities here with some of these questions, and I got a couple off the radar picks, so hopefully we can get another one home.
You and I are real contrarian the way we play, the way that we gamble, the way that we in particular in sports gambling, always trying to look for underdogs. And so today, this contest is kind of a fun one for us because we're going to get to talk about the two games involving the number one seeds in the NFL, and both of them are pretty heavy favorites in there. And you and I actually think both of the dogs have a legitimate chance to cover those games, and those will be a couple of the props that we dive into. So for this contest, all you have to do is head to pick'em.santanita.com. This is what the website will look like. You click on cards, and you just start. All you do is you fill out your entry. You have 12 questions plus the tiebreaker, and it will actually let you know every time you submit an answer. So right off the bat, it's total yards combined in the Jags-Chiefs game, Eric. Passing and rushing combined. They're going to use the ESPN app, so they give you the specifications there just so that way everyone's on the same page. What number did you throw out there for total combined yards? We are possibly dealing with some weather in this game, right? It could be pretty cold, like in the high 20s to high 30s, I think, throughout the day.
Yeah. Possible weather concerns. Second time playing. I just did 758.
Yeah, I went a little bit higher than you, but yeah, I think I'm in that 750 to about 850 range. I would be in that about 100-yard range or so. I'm a little higher. Eric was in the 750 range, but what's nice, every time you plug in one of your answers, it'll give you the alert right away. Notification, your tiebreaker has been submitted. You'll even get an email notification, and it'll let you know if you haven't completed your entry. So, I mean, you can get these done every day. You can get these filled out, and what you should really do is maybe, go the night before, kind of look at the props, spend a few minutes handicapping, doing your research, and then come back and fill them out a few minutes before. That way you'll have all the best information. So Eric, the first one, prop number one, is just a straight pick the winner of race number one. Who are you looking at in race number one on Saturday?
I did the 9 Spirit Maker,
You're a Hernandez guy. That's what we love. That's your guy. That's your guy.
My Hernandez bias, plus when you're the leading jockey at the track, you kind of got your pick of who you want to be on. The fact he stayed on, didn't go off. Spirit Maker kind of tells me he's a little bit live in this race.
So Eric will lean towards the 9 Spirit Maker. I'm going to go to the 3 Barsabbas. And what's nice, if you make a selection on the 9 Spirit Maker, it'll give you your alert right there. It'll tell you your pick has been made. It shows you what the percentages are at the time that you're filling out your entry. So as Eric and I are recording this show at about 6:00 p.m. Eastern time on Friday night, Spirit Maker has 31% of the support. Percolate, 44% for this race. I'm going to go to the number 3, Barsabbas. The way I look at this race, I didn't think there was that much early speed. And I do think the 3 Barsabbas has an opportunity to sit a good trip or be pretty close to the lead in here. I'm hoping that Dettori gets aggressive. That's something that he's been doing so far in the first few weeks riding over here. And Barsabbas was pretty quick in his last start, but he was number 6. And 4 of the horses to his inside were also fast, and they all went. So he got kind of forced wide and had to take back instead of getting parked way, way out wide. So I'm going to go to Barsabbas here, the number 3 in race number 1. Eric, we move to Prop number 2, you and I, big football fans. We actually host a show, a couple different shows. You have your own podcast. I have my own podcast. We do work together for Better Than Vegas, a network on social media that covers all sports. And you and I have discussed this Chiefs game a couple times. We're going to discuss it again on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. If anyone wants to come and get some additional analysis and a real deep breakdown of this game, you can follow me on Twitter. It's me, Gino B, and you can check out the preview that Eric and I have already done for all these games. We spent about an hour plus just going over these 4. And Eric, you had a pretty strong opinion on this game with the Jags.
Yep. Just kind of looking at it, 1 seeds in general at home for the whole playoffs, 43% ATS. Divisional round that drops all the way down to 34% ATS. Divisional rounds, 1 seed when it's higher than 7, 38% ATS. Mahomes does struggle to cover these big numbers. My boy Dougie P, 6-1 ATS in the playoffs. The Chiefs defense, in my eyes, isn't that good. You look at them, they are 31st DVOA defending the wide receiver. Opposing team was wide receiver number 1. 19th defending the tight end. Edmund Ingram's developed into a huge piece of that passing attack. And more importantly, they're 28th defending the running back and giving up per DVOA and giving up the 4th most receiving yards to opposing teams' running backs. I just really feel that the Jags are going to be able to move the ball. And when this Chiefs defense has been so suspect all year, the Jags are going to be able to move it on them. Plus, on top of that, you got my boy Lawrence, dude. How can you not back a guy after they win their first playoff game? He takes his whole family to the Waffle House.
That was pretty incredible. That's one of my favorite places to go. And it's funny because my girlfriend is from Texas. And so whenever we go back to visit family and whenever we go over there, I will hit at least 2 or 3 times Waffle Houses. And she's just always like, I cannot believe you're always over there. The Waffle House is amazing. Shout out to Lawrence. He's the man of the people. And anytime that the Chiefs are laying a big number, like an over a touchdown number, there are a few little things that come into play. You pointed out some of their defensive struggles, but their special teams isn't very good either. So when you're laying a number like this and you have the 19th special teams DVOA, the kicking game, Butker has only made 75% of his field goals. The field goal percentage is tied for 30th in the league. They've missed 8 field goals and 5 extra points this year. So that's a total of 29 points directly in their kicking game that they have spit out. And their opponents have only missed 4. They've only had 4 total points missed. I think a field goal and a couple extra points. So they are spotting their opposing teams more than 20 points just in the kicking game alone. Their punters are criticizing the hold of their holder. They've actually not been very good in the return game. They've muffed a couple punts. They fumbled a punt. Look, those are things that maybe they don't hurt you in winning a game like this if you're, a lot better than the team you're playing. But when you're laying a big number, or when you're playing more competitive teams, or if the Jags get off to a good start in this game and then all of a sudden things are close and you need a field goal or you need that extra point, this team isn't a perfect team to be laying a big number. So Eric and I will both be on the Jags in here. And just as you can see with the number, a lot of people are going to be on the chalky teams in contests like this. So anytime you can go with the underdog, you're probably going to be getting, it's going to be a good chance to do so, because you're going to be able to weed a lot of people out if they're playing bad chalks.
Correct.
Okay, Eric, number 3, we've got a straight head-to-head matchup. Talk to us about this one. New York Dreams or Naismith?
I mean, we all know who's on Naismith, right?
Yeah. JJ. I mean, that's where you're going to say it's your boy.
My boy JJ. We all know it's on him. Better jockey. Give me Naismith.
And I'm actually with you on Naismith in this one as well. Naismith is drawn to the outside, and Naismith is a horse who will I think is in just a little bit better form right now. New York Dreams was able to get the lead in a race where it kind of just ended up on the lead, but I think overall Naismith is probably going to be able to work out a little bit better trip in here from the outside. So the 8, Naismith, is the play for both me and Eric in prop number 3, which is race number 3. That's also the first race in that coast-to-coast pick 5 that goes back and forth between Santa Anita and Gulfstream Park. It starts in Santa Anita's 3rd race. Eric, we continue with the NFL games. This one is just a total. We've got the Eagles and the Giants, which is another one of the Saturday games, and the over-under at 47.5. Talk to us about how you see this game.
Well, 3rd time they've played, you definitely want to lean toward the under. But with that being said, I think I'm going to go the over in this game, just because my thought process is this: Maddox isn't available for the Eagles. Eagles defense is a little bit banged up. So I think Daniel Jones is going to have advantage picking on Darnell Jones, who's going to be lined up in the slot position, guarding Darius Slayton. The Giants started using the 2 tight end set to help protect Jones. I think that's going to help him be able to move the ball. Flip side, I think the Eagles are going to have success running the ball and going to be able to move the ball running. So I did the over 47.5.
And you know what? If you just want to be the type of person who plays off of the movement and watches the way things happen, remember, Eric and I are talking about this on Friday. A lot, these props are placed and put up on Thursday, and a lot of things happen between Thursday and maybe either Saturday or Sunday. So right now this number is trending up, because if you look at most places, it's already up to 48, right, Eric?
Yeah,
I think so. You can do that with a lot of these lines. Like, you can just sit and watch and play the way the number moves. That's a smart thing to do. If in this contest, the number you're getting is 47.5 and everywhere else the number has already moved to 48, well, it would probably be smart to take the 47.5 here, because you can't even really get that number anywhere else, So you can play that way in these contests a lot of the time. And I think if you just take a moment to do that, a lot of other people won't. They won't just stop and realize, oh, look, the number's moved a point or two. Let's just get the better of every number that we can. Closing line value is something we're always looking for, right, Eric? If we can get the best of every number, like, that's one of our big, one of our big goals as a gambler to do. Winning money, obviously, but if we get the best of the number, we have to feel pretty confident.
Yep. It's closing line value. If you can get the better number at sport and in terms of sports betting, that's what it's all about. And like you said, some of these lines move, and if you can get a better number than what the books have, you can do something.
Okay, Eric, number 5 on the props for this weekend is just pick the winner of race number 5. So who are you looking at in the 5th?
I did the 1, King Speed. I really feel the distance and the rail are going to help the running style.
King of Speed, the 1, is going to go from the turf back to the dirt. King of Speed, a multiple winner on the dirt, and getting some class relief in here, no doubt about it. I'm looking at the 3, Smile for Me, who comes off that recent win last time out up at Golden Gate. Just a horse who came into the new barn, won for the new connections, and this is a very good Northern California barn that can get horses right. So Smile for Me on the 3, King of Speed for Eric on the 1. If you make your change to King of Speed, it'll give you the notification. If you go back to Smile for Me, it'll let you know. 26% on Smile for Me so far. Tiz Lightning, 44%, and Box of Chocolates at 14%, both getting a good amount of support in the 5th. So what number will be higher on Saturday? This one is just talking about 4 of the top jockeys at Santa Anita, and it asks which will be higher their wins. Flavien Prat wins. Hernandez wins. Frankie wins. Johnny V wins. Now, Eric, I don't even really have to ask you this question, I'm sure, with these 4 guys out here.
Well, JJ, no doubt.
And JJ. But if you just wanted to lay it out, I mean, off of a simple math, Pratt has 6 mounts. DeTore has 7 mounts. Johnny V has 5. And Hernandez has 9.
Yeah.
He has 9 mounts on the card out of the 10 races. So he will have more opportunities than the other 3. And here are his list of mounts: 4-1, 15-1, 3-1, 5-2, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 6-5, and 3-1. he is on like a lot of live horses. We've already talked about two of the horses that you think have a chance to win early on in the card. So yeah, we're gonna just take the chalk here both with Hernandez, right?
Yep.
Okay, Eric, let's move to Chiefs Jags over under 52.5. Now, we were talking a little bit about this game and the possibility of weather. Is that going to sway you at all with how you're looking to play this total?
No, give me the under here. Under all, I like the under here. Playoff game. You got the Chiefs coming in. You got the Chiefs playing at home with some possible weather issues. They've been off for a little bit. I like this game, to go to the under.
And this is one that I'm kind of changing my stance, because I think when you and I talked earlier in the week, I like the over in this game for some of the reasons you were pointing out. Like, just that I think the Chiefs defense isn't very good. I feel like the Jags will be able to move the ball offensively on them. I'm not that high on the Jags defense overall. They have a couple playmakers, but some of their defensive success recently has been a little bit fluky. But now the weather just throws this whole wrench into everything.
Yeah. And I'm just looking at it. Unders at Arrowhead are 54%.
And even just a small thing like, okay, so if you and I are talking this out to where we're not completely confident on going over, you always have to go under if it's like a 70-30 proposition like this, right? Yeah. If in your mind you're having a tough time deciding between one way or the other, but you see all of the public is going one way, go the opposite way.
Yep.
Like, always do that in gambling, in contests, and anything. In your mind, once you've done the work and done the research and you have an opinion sort of set, don't go with the crowd, go against the crowd. That's when you'll truly be able to make money, win contests, win games. So Eric and I are both going to lean under now too. And honestly, I have flip-flopped in about 3 or 4 days on this because I thought over was the play, but now with the weather changes the way I'm looking at this one. Eric, we go to number 8, which is just race number 8. Who are you looking at in the 8th?
I'll take the 3. JJ's on board, 89 buyer, last race out, and JJ's won 2 out of 5 on blacker horses.
This is probably the horse to beat in the race too. Queen of the Temple overall is pretty consistent. The 2-back race in the Rodeo Drive was just probably against a little bit too tough of company in there. And we know that she has no concerns with going long and performing at, 1.5-mile type distances. So Queen of the Temple for Eric. I'm going to look at the 7 in here. Tizen Adventure. Tizen Adventure has won 3 of the last 4 races that she's been in. So since August the 28th, she's raced 4 times. She's won 3. If you added up the other 8 horses in this race, they have run a combined 21 races in that same time period. So each of these horses has like 2 or 3 or 4 races since then. And the whole group is combined 1 for 21. And Tizen Adventure is 3 for 4 during that same stretch. She just catches a group that's not really in the best of form. She's kind of sharp, and she actually has a little bit of positional speed for a group like this. She could be pretty close early on. I'm going to go to the 7, Tizen Adventure. Eric, prop number 9 is just a straight point spread on the Eagles and the Giants. I think we spent about 25 minutes talking about this game alone, one that you and I both really like the underdog. And this has nothing to do with overall thoughts on the Eagles. In fact, you were very high on the Eagles last year when they started to really hit their stride. And this year, both you and I, at the beginning of the year, played some futures. I think in the summer, when the Eagles were starting to make some of the moves and they looked like they were going to be a pretty good team. So we like the Eagles as a team overall, but as a number 1 seed coming off a week where they didn't play and the Giants look great, the Eagles quarterback Hurts missed 2 of their last 3 games. They've got some issues with the offensive line. They're not all that healthy. Now, if this team can get completely healthy and be firing on all cylinders, they're going to be a tough team and they're going to be a very, very tough out. But we have to see it from this Eagles team. Like, we haven't seen the best version of their team for a while. And right now, we're seeing the best version of the Giants. I have been so impressed with Daboll, and we were just singing his praises all last night when we previewed this game. He's done great work with them. He makes adjustments. He puts Daniel Jones in a spot to succeed. I think, divisional rivals, third time, more than a touchdown, it just feels like too much.
Yep, exactly. Road dogs, divisional round, 58% against the number. Road divisional dogs in divisional round, that jumps all the way up to 83%. Jones, 64% ATS as a dog, as a road dog. That number jumps all the way up to 76% ATS. And you kind of mentioned it in the head. Timing is real in the NFL. I really think there's going to be some struggles with the Eagles offensively, just with the timing aspect. So I like the Jets here. I bet on myself.
You have to treat every game or every week or every race as an individual, right? You can't feel like, oh, I love this team and I'm just going to play them every week. Or I don't like this team, so I'm going to play against them every week. Or, oh, everything has to be treated individually. And you know that if you are truly trying to make money, some weeks you're just going to be playing for a team and against a team. That's actually when you're really doing the best, right? When you're really feeling it, you're playing for teams, and then the next week you're against them. And then the week after you're back on them. And then the week after you're back against them, right? Like that's sort of how you play throughout the year. You point this out all the time. So this is something that you say, but it's just like the stock market. You're buying low and you're selling, or you're buying when they're, buying low, and when you're selling when they're high.
Low, selling high.
You just want to make sure it's all about the value there as we continue along, taking a look at these free contests. So all you have to do, just like we're doing, go through, make your selections. They'll give you notifications and alerts every time you make one and fill them out. And then you're in, and you can kick back and watch. And if you win, you're going to get $500. They'll send it right to you like they did to Eric when he won the 1,000, which was the prize last meet. This week, this meet, they're 500 because it's a longer meet. So we're going to have a lot more of these contests to play into. And this 10th prop, Eric, will ask us who has the most rushing yards on Saturday. Which of the 4 teams that are playing will have the most rushing yards? Giants, Eagles, Chiefs, Jags.
I did the Eagles, one of the best rushing attacks in the league, and they're playing the Giants, who are 32 DVOA defending the run.
So one thing that I just kind of simple, right? If you're thinking about how do I best kind of handicap this prop? All I did was Philly. What are they averaging per game? About 147 yards. Actually, them and the Giants almost have the identical average for rushing yards per game, 147.6 and 147.8. The Giants are slightly higher than the Eagles. The reason why I went to the Eagles is because of rushing yards allowed. Like you were saying, the Giants actually allow almost 140 yards per game themselves, whereas Philly only allows about 120 yards rushing per game. And since they've made some trades and brought in a couple pieces that have strengthened their run defense, they've actually cleaned that up. That was kind of a weakness for Philly earlier in the year, but they're a little bit better there. So I think we're both on the same spot here. It would be hard. KC and the Jags, they're just not two teams that are really like going to run between the tackles a whole lot right at you. They're not really built that way. You keep pointing out Etienne's not that kind of a running back, and the Chiefs don't really have a guy like that either, right? Like a between the tackles guy.
Correct. Those guys. The Eagles-based offense is running. They're going to look to run it over 30 times.
That's why they're successful with Hurts.
I don't think the Jags or the Giants or the Chiefs are going to come anywhere near that total.
We move to our final 2 of these props. Let's get to number 11. Eric, what number will be higher? Highest win payout on the Santa Anita card, Chiefs total points, Eagles total points, Trevor Lawrence pass attempts. What do you think?
Going back and forth on this, I actually went with Trevor Lawrence. I think Lawrence is going to have to throw the ball north of 30 times. I don't see the payout of Santa Anita being over $20. I see the Chiefs probably scoring as their ceiling 24. Eagles probably around 28. I see Lawrence having to throw the ball about 30 times.
Yeah, and they are an 8.5-point underdog. So even though we both feel like they'll be competitive and feisty in the game is telling you that they're going to be behind, right? And they're going to need to be coming from behind. And even if they win this game, Kansas City is probably not one of those teams that's going to give you nothing, right? I don't think they're going to score 10 points, from Kansas City. You're going to have to score a little bit more than that. So, like Trevor Lawrence, if they're down in this game, he could have to throw the ball 40 times or 50 times. Honestly, like that's a possibility. I don't know how possible it is for the Eagles to score 40 or 50. I don't know if it's possible for the Chiefs to score 40 or 50 with the weather. And then, like you said, with Santa Anita, just kind of looking at the way that the races shape up, it's like a 20 plus to 1 shot in a race. Like a 10 or 12 to 1 shot still will only get you about 25. So just the ceiling with the Lawrence pass attempts, the possibility that he could need to get to like over 40. Because like you're saying, I think a floor for him is like 30.
Yeah, I think that is the floor. I think you hit the key word there is floor.
Because like Santa Anita could have
it was like the nail in the head. The Eagles are going to play a little bit of a slower pace. They're going to run the ball, keep that clock moving. So I just don't. I just don't know.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence feels like the one there. Let's finish it up, Eric, with who will have the most receiving yards on Saturday. It gives you some of the key players for some of these teams: A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Travis Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster. So you have 2 from the Eagles, 2 from the Chiefs, Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, 2 from the Jags, or other. Now, Travis Kelce is getting picked by 47%, which is pretty nuts in like a wide open prop like this. Talk to us about your process. How did you look at this one?
So I went insanely against the grain here. I took Juju Smith-Schuster just because Hardman is out. That means Schuster's going to be running in the slot. The slot cornerback Herndon from the Jaguars is the 101st graded PFF DB. So I think that's a positive thing. I mean, I think it's him, or you can throw something on Christian Kirk. I just went with Juju though.
So how I looked at it was, you have a lot of the major players in here, but with other, this is who I get. All of the New York Giants. So any of the New York Giants wide receivers, Hodgins has been pretty good recently. If for some reason Barkley has a big game receiving, I mean, he could catch a couple passes and break a couple passes very easily and have 80 yards or 120 yards, something like that. We've absolutely seen that. We also get one of your guys, Evan Ingram. He's a tight end in the mix. We also get Jerick McKinnon and Dallas Goedert from the Eagles. So we get a couple really good tight ends, all of the Giants guys, and McKinnon, who's been a pretty big piece in the receiving for the Chiefs for a little while. So I kind of like other, because I get so many here with other.
Versus, you get a lot more coverage.
Yep, you get a lot more coverage here versus like anyone else. All of a sudden, if Travis Kelce has a good first half, but then they scheme to try to take him out, you're in some trouble. Juju could have a good play or two, but they could really spread it around a little bit. I just sort of like my options with other quite a bit. I'll tell you one thing: I would never play someone like Kelce in this situation. Don't play a Kelce or an A.J. Brown. Because that's who everyone's going to go to. Just like Eric said, if you want to throw a Juju or a Christian Kirk, absolutely. If you want to go to other, which will be more percentage, but it just gives you a lot more coverage, it's a safer play. Like, that's also a fine option there as well. As we finish up with the Santa Anita Saturday Pick'em Prop Contest. This is for January the 21st. Remember, you can play every Saturday and every Sunday. For next week, Eric, next week, let's plan on doing one on Saturday to preview Sunday, because Sunday will be both of the conference championship games, right? For next week. I think they're both on Sunday. So if we talk about the Sunday, we'll be able to talk a lot about the football games as well. And then I think we can do the same thing in a few weeks when the Super Bowl hits. We'll preview the Sunday one. But most weeks we'll probably end up previewing the Saturday contest. We'll probably do it here on these Fridays. And we hope everyone comes and hangs out. Just kick this on in the background for a few minutes. We'll take you through all the props. We'll set you up. We'll give you some of our analysis. So that way, if you agree, if you disagree, you'll at least get a feel for some of the process that people go through when they're handicapping and when they're filling out their entries for the Pick'em Prop contest. Eric, I know you have a lot of great content out there right now. Tell the folks where they can follow you and where they can find out more of the really good stuff you do on your podcast and videos and all sorts of stuff like that.
I have a podcast coming out Friday evening. You and I are going to be on BTV Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. talking about these games and everything. Props to you. You gave out a first touchdown score last week. That's something we do every single week. And then my live stream comes out on Tuesday. And then Kyle and myself, the DFS Bachelor on Twitter, him and I have a UFC 283 betting preview that dropped on Friday.
Eric, we will talk next week. We'll preview the Sunday contest, so we'll put that one out sometime on Saturday. Thanks so much for hanging out, folks. Remember to get the Santa Anita website, pick'em.santanita.com, or you can just go to the Santa Anita website and you can click straight from the link, pick'em.santanita.com. Free to enter, 500 to the winner each and every week.